The world, music, NPC variety, gameplay, quest design, and characters are the 6 reasons why The Witcher 3, in my opinion, is still the best open-world RPG ever created, even 2 years after release. In this first video of 2, I'm going to cover the first 3 pillars of The Witcher 3 that are done flawlessly. My name is Keanu Miller, and here's why The Witcher 3 is a masterpiece.
Some fight for glory, justice, or gold. I fight for those I hold dear. I'm Geralt of Rivia, the Witcher.
The Witcher 3 is obviously a sequel as seen by the number 3. It follows the games The Witcher and The Witcher 2 Assassin of Kings, both made by acclaimed Polish video game developer CD Projekt Red. Both are big games that are done with characters and fantasy politics, and both are based on a series of novels. However, you don't have to read the novels to enjoy or understand the games. First up came The Witcher, CD Projekt Red's first take on the series, which was released in 2007 for PC and Mac and received mostly positive reviews. The game was praised for not just being a hack and slash game, but a game with deep lore and story that makes you think during combat and between combat with difficult choices. The developers had planned to do a console version as well, so more people could experience this fantastic new gaming IP, but development issues and increasing costs almost led the company to the brink of bankruptcy. Luckily, the developer was able to produce the second game, The Witcher 2 Assassin of Kings, and released it in 2011. Unlike the first establishment, CD Projekt Red developed their own engine for this game, and changed the combat considerably from the first game. The Witcher 2 was met with critical acclaim and won over 50 awards, that included Best Graphics, Best Adaptation or Use of a License, Best Story, Best PC Game, Best RPG, and Game of the Year. Unlike the first Witcher game released, CD Projekt Red made a considerable amount of money here, and was even able to release an enhanced console edition for the Xbox 360 in 2012. While they succeeded and did well with The Witcher 2, they wanted to do even better and go beyond for the third game. With this in mind, CD Projekt Red had very ambitious goals and set out on a journey to not reinvent a genre, but rather perfect one. The open-world RPG genre was new to the Witcher series, but CD Projekt Red had faith in their team and their ambition to succeed. The company developed Witcher 3 Wild Hunt with a self-funded budget of $81 million over the course of 3.5 years. 1,500 people globally worked to bring this project to life, a project that was thought couldn't live up to the sheer amount of claim CD Projekt Red made. They wanted to create the perfect open-world game that wasn't just a large world void of life and full of fetch quests. They wanted to create a massive open world with incredible attention to detail, a world filled with life, and a world filled with meaningful side quests. Until the release of The Witcher 3 in 2015, people would more than likely think of Skyrim and Bethesda when hearing the words open world. After the release of Witcher 3, that no longer stands true. When the game came out, it surprised not just critics and fans, but even casual gamers. What surprised many people, including myself, who have been a gamer for a long time and played tons of games, is the sheer quality of The Witcher 3. They didn't do just one thing right, they did everything right. The only controversy that really arose in the game was a slight downgrade in graphical fidelity from some of the trailers to the final product. But even with the downgrade, the game still looks spectacular. With that said, let's look into the first pillar of Witcher 3 that has done so well: the world. CD Projekt Red created a world that is not only beautiful and breathtaking, but realistic and dark. This world is massive and feels like a brilliant blend of Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones. From the tutorial area White Orchard to the Velen and Novigrad areas that include everything from murky swamps, war-torn battlefields, small villages, forts, and the large and sprawling city of Novigrad, to the mountainous landscapes of Kaer Morhen, and finally to the beautiful Nordic and Celtic-inspired islands of Skellige. Every location is sprawling with life and feels unique and lived in. But what really allows the Skim's world to enter a new level of world building is the attention to detail. Predators will hunt their prey, villages will defend themselves against monsters, traders will travel the many roads, people will react to the temperatures, and merchants will sail for the best fish to catch. This principle of an independent world also extends to the endgame economy system, where the price of goods will vary based on the surrounding conditions, or their place of origin and where Geralt is at in the world. For example, the price of fish will differ from an inland village in comparison to a port by the sea. This incredible world building is complemented beautifully with some of the best graphics I have seen in gaming. CD Projekt Red's engine, Red Engine 3, incorporates location ambience and expanded dynamic lighting. These components allow the realistic and highly detailed day and night cycles and the diverse weather conditions. These visuals shown on screen, while impressive by themselves, are brought to even greater heights by the music. It was evident from the very first trailers that the music would be something special in The Witcher 3. The adrenaline-fueled and bombastic themes played during main missions, to dialogue-specific music that focuses on conveying the mood of the situation.
How dare you disturb our rest, woman?
Someone speaking through you?
Good looking and clever, too. Where have you been hiding, boy?
Every tune fits and serves its purpose. One of my favorite parts of the game, and one example of many, that shows the developers really brought this game to life is Priscilla's song.
To dream of raven locks and twisted stormy, of violet eyes glistening as you weep. The wolf I will follow into the storm to find your heart, its passion displaced.
Aside from the music played during missions is the game's combat music that not only sounds good, but is done with meaning. For example, a different theme is played when you are in combat with human NPCs versus monsters. These two songs are also titled accordingly to the game's lore for the Witcher swords. Steel for humans, silver for monsters. With missions and combat covered, there is one more area that music needs to be good and pleasant. The ambient music. Music that plays when you are riding around on Roach or casually walking around isn't just great music, it's beautiful. Each location has their own theme that plays during the game when exploring. But my favorite without a doubt has to be on Skellige. music played always matches what's going on screen, and it doesn't miss a beat. And that includes the excellent music played in all the taverns, and of course, one of the best minigames ever made, Gwent. A card game within The Witcher 3 that became popular enough to warrant its own game. The music played here is as addicting as the card game itself, and can manage to persuade even the most dedicated Witchers to lay down their swords for a little while and try and win another card for their deck. Now that CD Projekt Red has established such a visually stunning world with great music to match, it needs to fill that world with life. For the game's NPCs, I do not mean just the humans and non-humans, but the monsters as well. The sheer roster of NPC diversity here is immense. The human characters, each region is filled with people that are all dressed and look appropriate for the region they are in. From the small villagers, to the high-class city dwellers, and to the rough and tough people of Skellige. These all seem like people that are unique and have their own tasks to worry about. The non-human characters comes the usual offering of dwarves and elves. But where the game really shined is in its selection of monsters. This game has 11 categories of monsters that ends up breaking down to be more than 120 total monsters and creatures. There are far too many monsters to cover here in this video, but just about any type of monster you'd expect to see in a fantasy game has a presence here. Some of the most popular creatures include griffins,
It's about to dive!
wraiths, werewolves, vampires,
Face one of us. No, you couldn't have. You would have survived.
giants, elementals, and my personal favorite, the fiends. Each creature and monster in this game is created with extensive detail and depth to make these all look and feel like creatures that might have existed. In the game's bestiary, every monster is given an anatomical and physiological description that details everything from how the creature looks and eats to what time of day they are active, and what they are most vulnerable to. This level of detail and care is such a rare and hard find in many of today's games, and is the main reason this game's world is so believable and immersive. I've yet to play another open world RPG that does world building as impeccable as The Witcher 3. This ends the first video in my analysis and celebration of The Witcher 3 2 years later. If you enjoyed this video, then join me in the second video where I'll be discussing the latter 3 pillars of why The Witcher 3 is a masterpiece, including the game's masterful gameplay, phenomenal quest design, and fully realized characters. If you join me there, you will realize Geralt's legend is truly one to behold.